All right, so thanks for coming. I know one perspective of our audience member here is a downtown business owner. Um, and I'm not sure, those of you online, if you're interested, residents or business owners, well, you should be able to see the screen that I've got up here. I'll just walk you through a little bit of the project itself. My name is Andy Selly. I'm the city engineer. So all questions that you all may have can come directly to me. My phone number at the city is the best way to get in touch with me. It's 920-563-7760. Call me anytime with any concerns and questions. And then email is the second best way to get in touch with me. And that email is on the website. It's aselly and then fortatkinsonwi.net. One of the most important things I think to let everybody know about with respect to this project is that the city does not own this bridge. So this is a DOT project. I've been heavily involved in it, more as not even an owner, but a recipient, maybe is the best way to say it, of the bridge. So I'm not terribly far removed from you as residents when it comes to this project. We've walked through all elements of the design on this project, and I'll go over that here in a little bit. A lot of this has been a bit last minute intentionally, because this project was thought to be put off until next year, and we did quite a bit of haggling to get this project done this year. I don't think we could go another year with the bridge the way it is. We certainly aren't going to fall through the bridge, but you can definitely look through spots and see water. So it's time. The project itself finished up design and was bid about a month ago. So we just got the folks under contract within the last week. So this is really moving forward in record time. You've seen probably all the signs and everything else that are out there for the Main Street areas and around town indicating the detours and stuff like that. So all this is kind of moving forward very quickly. And the only reason I mention that is because sometimes all the planning and outreach and everything else that starts months in advance didn't necessarily get months in advance on this project. So, but I think we're doing our best to get the word out to folks, and certainly the downtown business owners. I had a meeting with those folks back in February. The project itself is, get down here, talk about a few elements of the project. So the bridge itself is going to have, it's going to remain 4 lanes as it is today. 2 lanes in the southbound direction, so that would be heading towards Jones Dairy Farm, and 2 lanes in the northbound direction, which would be heading back up towards Madison Avenue. One of the big changes is that there's going to be a dedicated left-hand turn on the bridge. So now we currently have 2 lanes that are straight through lanes, and then they merge immediately after Riverside Drive in a very awkward and very short distance. That's going to be eliminated. So we'll have a dedicated left turn lane up there. All traffic moving through the intersection will go in that right-hand lane. So there's a chance that we might see a little bit more queuing at certain times of the day, meaning the line will get a little longer back there. But from a safety standpoint and from an efficiency standpoint, we'll move traffic through. I think at those peak times, the modeling is indicating to us that we'll move it through as good, if not better, than what we do today, because we can never anticipate those left-hand turns, right? We've all been in that situation where somebody throws their blinker on at the last second and you're stuck behind them in that left lane. Some other elements of this project, the sidewalk that we have there currently is going to be widened. We're going to build what's called a parapet wall. It's a wall that comes up to about your waist or so of concrete with a railing on the top. That will keep pedestrians removed from the active traffic. So if you guys have ever been across that bridge and recognize that large vehicles literally are moving within feet of the edge of that curb on a fairly narrow sidewalk, that's always been not an ideal situation for us from a safety standpoint. So that'll be taken care of and corrected. The fence and railing that we'll have out there will match very similar features to the pedestrian bridge that we have in town. So we'll maintain a nice aesthetic with that going through. Same with the lights that we have there. Instead of the standard Cobra lights, we're going to put up some decent decorative lights there. So this piece of infrastructure, we're focusing on it not only for function, but a bit for form as well, to make sure that it looks nice. bridges, I don't know if you've been in other communities, but they're kind of a focal point. And if it's done well and done right, they can really add, I think, to the areas, sort of overall aesthetic. And that's what we're trying to get at. The other feature that we're going to have here is we're going to have some signal coordination. So down at 3rd Street, which is the next stoplight to the south of the bridge, our safety analysis and a lot of the modeling indicated that that particular intersection is not the safest. And the reason for that is there's not enough gap time between what we have at Madison Avenue and what we have down at 3rd Street. So folks that are trying to cross at Milwaukee Street have a really difficult time finding that opening to either enter onto Robert Street or to get across Milwaukee Street to the other side. So the coordination of those two signals will allow for those gaps to be a little more predetermined and consistent out there, which should take care of a couple of pedestrian accidents that we've had right there at the corner of Milwaukee Street and Robert Street. So it'd be difficult for the public to notice that, but it was something that was built into the design as part of the overall project analysis. Any questions on some of the elements of the bridge? And those of you online, feel free to unmute if you have any questions. I think we can have a fairly free discussion with the number of folks we have in attendance here. The detours that we have, there's 2 detours. So there's the detour for folks that are, let's see if I can bump this up here. Zoom is not the most presentation friendly. There's detours for folks that are just simply passing through Fort Atkinson. So, folks that are maybe coming out of Madison and heading down to points and destinations to our southeast, or coming from the southeast up towards Madison or something like that. Those folks will be intercepted either on the north side, right about the Highway 26 bypass, and they'll be routed around the city. And those that are coming northbound will be picked up right at about Whitewater and taken around the city back up to the bypass there at Highway 12. So that traffic that's just simply passing through Fort Atkinson on Highway 12 will be rerouted. The local detour, of course, is what we're all familiar with, I think, and that is across the Main Street Bridge. So we have only 2 bridges in town, and if one of them's out, we only got one other option, right? So the Main Street Bridge will carry quite a bit more traffic associated with the detour. Some of the things that we've done to try to minimize that impact and make it as efficient as possible is twofold. Number one, the schedule of the project. So we talked a lot with the school districts about this project because obviously the really busy times in Fort are morning and evening, right around those school pickup drop-off times. And it became apparent that the best way to communicate with parents is when kids are still in school right now. The worst time to communicate with parents is in the summertime. So we pushed the project knowing it was going to be a longer project and had to impact school on one end or the other into the spring so that we could catch the parents now when they're paying attention to whatever's going on with the kids. And we've been effectively communicating through the school districts, automated text messages, automated email messages. All the bus companies are on board and everything else with this detour that's happening. So the communication has been a lot more effective at this part of the project as opposed to trying to communicate in late August and reminding folks that the bridge is still out until perhaps mid-September or something like that. The librarian told me the trick for fixing this pink. The second thing that we've done is moved all parking off of Main Street. Certainly not ideal for those of us that are used to pulling up, right in front of the door of the business that we're heading into on Main Street. But what this will allow is to give 4 lanes of traffic through Main Street. So from a business owner's perspective, we do lose the parking on the main street itself. All the adjacent streets still have the parking. All of the public parking lots are still available. In fact, we even have an optional lot over by the Cafe Cart for those of you that are familiar with that area. Bill and Kitty have graciously allowed that to be used at times for some parking over there as well. But the lack of parking on the street will give us 4 lanes of traffic and keep that that mass of folks moving through at that 7 to 8 a.m. period, and then again in the evening around 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock, moving well and efficiently. So hopefully that'll keep a lot of the frustration down with respect to the impact this is having on travel times and just people's general mood, if you know what I mean. So it's, as I said, it's not the best thing for the business owners through there, but we do have adjacent side street parking available for everybody through there. We are going to get some 2-hour parking signs back up, in particular in the area of North Water Street East. I know that's a concern for some folks along a fairly long block there that doesn't have a lot of public parking in that area. The other thing we're doing, it actually happened today. If you went down through Main Street, the signals have all been coordinated. So all of the 4 traffic lights that we have starting at Madison Avenue going all the way down to 3rd Street have been tweaked a little bit to make sure that the run times on the Main Street portion are a little bit longer to get that traffic through, and the side streets have to wait just a little bit longer for that, for those sorts of queues to move through that corridor. So it will be, if you travel that a lot, you will have noticed a difference today. If you don't travel it a lot, you probably didn't notice it. So, but all that stuff is intended to kind of keep everybody moving in the right direction along that Main Street corridor. And of course, the communication side of things, which is, this is kind of the last of the communication. They're actually out right now putting up the signs and getting ready to close down parking on Main Street tonight. So that we'll wake up tomorrow morning and have no bridge to cross on Robert Street, and hopefully have 4 lanes of traffic on Main Street. Schedule for this. So the schedule that we had, this is a presentation I did back in February. We hit it pretty close. We were intending back in February to have this go into effect today, May the 23rd. Our folks that are on board doing the work, Zenith Technology, they've got it closing down tonight, probably around midnight, 5 a.m., somewhere in that range, depending upon what time we get all the various traffic controls in place. All of us should be safely sleeping, and we'll wake up to a different scenario tomorrow. And then the traffic is going to be restored, and the work will be restored on Main Street parking, and the work will be completed by August the 27th. That is the agreed upon deadline for this work. Now, there are certain elements of this work that may qualify for an extension on that deadline. Acts of God, you know, a flood of 2008 proportions, for those of you that recall that. You know, terrible weather that delays the actual working time out there. Those are all cause for delays on a project, and those will be communicated to the public if they pop up. We'll certainly have some other delays associated with all the supply chain issues and things like that, but hopefully nothing that will affect opening of the bridge. So vehicle traffic and pedestrian traffic on the bridge by August the 27th is our goal. So I guess the only other aspects of this that I have that aren't in this presentation is we do have a project website, and for those of you that are on Facebook or on the city's website, the DOT is maintaining that website. Are you guys updating that at all with project stuff on through the DOT website?
It will be updated.
Okay, so that's probably the best place to stop for sure, and look for any updates if you're just curious and bored and browsing the web and thinking about the Robert Street Bridge, which none of you should be doing. Only I do that occasionally. But anyway, that will have updates on the project schedule and various elements of the project going on. And if anything significant occurs, the city will push it out through our social media page and make sure that everybody's aware of it through that. Seems to be a fairly effective means of communication, albeit one way for the most part. And if any of you have any questions, again, you know, my phone number was mentioned in there. That's the best way to really get at any questions you have, or just thoughts, or you know, I get a lot of, I heard this, you know, questions coming in, and sometimes they hear right and sometimes they don't. So it's always good to just check in and see. That's what we're here for. With that, I guess, so I didn't get a chance to introduce our folks here that are working on the project. These 3 gentlemen that just came in, I'll let them stand up and introduce themselves, and then we can all be available for any questions that you might have. for us. This meeting is going to go till 7:30, so we'll stick around if folks come in late after work or whatever. But following the questions, that's kind of the end of our dog and pony show, at least here for the next 45 minutes or so. So with that, if you guys want to introduce yourselves and your role.
Yeah, David Bird, project manager for Zenith Tech. We are the prime contractor on this job. So main point of contact for the job from the contractor side will be myself.
Ryan Binkowski, Zenith Tech, engineer.
Alex Brown with Westbrook. I'll be working with the DOT on the construction, the engineer.
Any questions that you guys have for us? Those of you online too, if you have any questions, we have a speaker and all that kind of stuff. We can hear you.
Is Milwaukee Street and Robert Street going to be open all the time?
Milwaukee Street will be open all the time, yeah. That area as you, to the north of Milwaukee, as you approach the Robert Street Bridge, I don't think that will be open, but the Milwaukee intersection right there will be open.
But the rest of Parapet Street will be open, correct?
Yes, yeah, it will be. So on the north end, Riverside Drive will be completely open and passable. On the south side, Milwaukee will be completely open and passable. Anything in between there, I think, is going to be closed off. And there will be some intermittent lane closures on Robert Street, or I'm sorry, on Riverside Drive. And I think there may be some adjustments happening on Sherman Avenue to get some pedestrian detours in place up there, but they're a couple of days at most, so they won't be permanent. Any other questions from anybody online? All righty. Well, thanks for joining us. And we'll, like I said, we're going to hang out here for a little bit longer and see if anybody else wanders through as they get off work. But that's all I got for you. We can call that 30 minutes, Clay, right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. How about you? What are you thinking? She's one of our downtown business owners.
Yeah, and so obviously my concerns are a little niche and probably less about the actual construction in the bridge. It's more the parking on Main Street being sort of a collateral damage aspect of it. My business in particular, I have the frame shop. So my concerns are sort of laid with the fact that it's not just an inconvenience to not have parking in front. It could also be, sort of a liability issue. I have a piece that's going to be going out in the next couple of weeks that's literally like almost 8 feet long. So that's going to be hard to sort of port across 4 lanes of traffic if they can't find parking in the area. I'm on the 200 South block, which I spoke with Carrie. It sounded like from the chamber, it sounded like you guys have been in touch to talk to about the parking lot behind us, the post office. Already contentious sort of parking area. And that block in particular being, us on Main Street, post office behind us, the library directly behind that. My concerns have kind of been the ripple effect. It's already very difficult with Main Street parking. So if the parking that would be on Main Street goes to the sides of the lot, which means that the post office parking now from the library parking is, I live on Foster Street, so right in front of the house, I just worry that hasn't really been considered thoroughly. So that's why I wanted to come and sort of hear more of the discussion, because I know that I've got a very specific perspective.
Well, believe it or not, that's easier to help with than the more general stuff. So I can help with your appointment situation on an 8-foot piece of framing, right? That's easy for me to help with. We have big trucks that can park in spots where you need to get to it. And we can move around, in the parking lot. What's more difficult is the day-to-day type stuff. And you're right, you're in a really challenging location there with a lot of people trying to use that post office lot.
So that's why I've been trying to attend the meetings. I was at the one that you did with the retail committee.
Okay.
And like I said, I talked with Carrie. And I was proactive on my end, the building owner, I was able to reserve there's like one parking spot right against the building in that alley. So I do have that available
And
for,
I owe you some white directional arrows in that alley. I believe, right? Did we talk
in
about
the
that?
parking lot.
No, in that alley behind the building.
That I wasn't sure about. The parking lot ones are barely there, and the do not enter sign is almost fully obstructed by a tree. And living down here, I'm also pedestrian, so I worry about those things. But, so yeah, I was trying to be proactive on my end, see what I can do. But, you know, Fat Boys is getting a delivery, or Humphreys is, that whole alley is
Cool.
one bit. And also, you know, I get deliveries. I have clients who are concerned about accessibility. I've already had people saying that they're not gonna come see me, they're gonna wait till the whole Main Street thing is over, so. It's kind of a, definitely hoping for the best, but trying to prepare for the worst. So that's. Not coming in here to like
No,
make
no,
demands or anything, it's
you're
just,
making, you're bringing up very valid concerns.
I'm trying to make sure that it's been voiced. And
Yes.
also, you know, trying to advocate for my building, we're 211 South Main. And I was the only one to get a letter about any of this because I'm the storefront. But there are 6 businesses in there, like 9 adults, and 2 adult residents upstairs. So in that building, that's a lot of people who may.
Who's your last name?
Kazim Recipe. And I believe he got a letter. But most of the people in the building didn't know until I've been posting the letters and the
Thank you.
maps and things like that. I have been, you know, promoting it on social media and things like that. So I am trying.
Yeah.
So I am hoping for the best, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't a matter of, it was never mentioned.
Yeah.
So.
Keep in touch. We do have, like I said, you know, the 8-foot piece that you need to get out the back, we can help with that. But we also have some stuff in these guys' contract for signage for the most part, you know, that we put in there to allow us to be a little bit nimble and respond to things that we see and didn't anticipate. So just keep the communication there, you know, drop me a note once a week or give me a call or wait until something just, you know, gets you so fired up, you're gonna blow your top and call me, you know, whatever.
Like this
But
one
we'll figure it
specific
out.
project is, you know, a very specific
Yeah.
thing, but I know at the, I think it was at the retail meeting, there was discussion of possibly having like a loading and unloading slot available at the side streets, and I didn't know if anything happened with that, or if there's a chance to sort of revise it as the project goes on. Or is it set, this is what we're doing, that's
No.
what we're doing?
It's not set. The basic stuff is set, right? All of the signage and everything else that says where to go and public parking and all that. But we can add and subtract things that aren't working throughout the project. The loading zone areas, we decided not to put those in because almost all of those curbs are painted yellow already, right? Just past the crosswalk. So that really is almost a loading zone you know, there's never cars parked there.
Right.
So it should be an
Can it
area.
be used as a loading zone, or does that indicate the park?
Well, it
Can you stop?
indicates no parking, but you can stop in an attendant vehicle and drop somebody off, right?
Yeah.
What you can't do is stop, park the car and leave the blinkers on for half an hour. So that was. But
And
we
I
can
know-
adjust that.
A lot of the other people in my building, not to speak for them, but just to advocate, most of them are like therapists or counselors. So it's not just a matter of, you know, popping in real quick. Whenever a spot is free, there are going to be like set appointments where people might need to be there and for a duration. So I just wanted to kind of gather the information, take that. Like I said, I know that our location is sort of a perfect storm of some concerns that might be worth considering. I wanted to make sure that they were out there.
Yeah.
In case it came up later.
Yeah, your block on that side is by far the most impacted, because it's a long block and there
Be a
isn't,
rough go of it.
you know, the parking lot in the back is. It's already just like contentious.
And I agree with the concern about the farmer's market both being in a parking area and potentially drawing more people, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Saturday mornings are a little less, you know, sensitive when it comes to parking and stuff like that, but, you know, there's always things that come up, so. But yeah, just keep me in the loop and look at that. Yeah, thanks for coming. Bus is all ready to go, you got one that travels across the water if you need to?
Yeah, no. We just had issues tonight, we were left at middle school. Did you turn down by St. Paul's? Street?
Sure.
It was waiting by the church there, we went across. lights, and then 5 lights before you got to turn down Main Street.
Yeah, that's part of that new signal coordination.
Yeah.
So keep me in the loop on that one. We'll see if we need to. tweak things.
Yeah, see if we go one street or other, we could.
Let me give you guys a card too. Although I know you got mine on. Yeah, we'll see how all that stuff goes. I mean, Jeff was out this morning, reprogramming all of those things, and I think they'll work. Based upon all the modeling that's been done, all that kind of stuff, but real world